different things like that. I'm based out of Nashville, like I said, so yes, I've drank at every brewery at least 3 times in the last certain amount of time. We won't discuss that, it's fine. But I just want to shout out Dave of Barry and Flo for inviting me up here this morning. This afternoon, sorry, it's been a long day. I haven't. That's embarrassing part right there. But yeah, I have to just tell the story about how this kind of came, because it happened less than 24 hours ago.
Like 10?
Yeah, around there, yeah. He just like DMs me on Instagram. He was like, yo, can you hit me with a quick call, phone number? I was like, oh shit, this nigga's about to cancel it. Damn, 2 in a row. I make beer and everything. But he's like, oh no, but yeah, we're doing podcasts. I know you have a podcast. And he messaged me about it. I was like, yeah, cool. He's like, well, you want to do a live episode? I was like, all right, cool. He's like, oh, we'll give you this, and another. And I kid you not, I was like, I gotta pay for that? And like, there's a moment of silence. He was real professional about it, and I appreciate him for it, but he could have gone in on me. You just hear the like, why would you pay us? I just had to hear what you said, because Negroes are wild out here. So I had to make sure you said what you said. But I do appreciate you being here. My role in the Nashville craft beer community is just connecting Black beer drinkers, whether they're seasoned or brand new and only had Bud Light at their pinnacle. No, that's what I'm here for. I'm that guiding hand to get you through and understand it. Whether you like it or not, you understand there's more than just Bud Light, Coors Light, and all that seltzer water with a little beer pill dropped in it and served to you. That's how I think of Bud Light and all that stuff. But enough about me. I want to introduce my guest today. It's Dave Bracey of the lovely Barrel and Flow Festival. How you doing? And what are you sipping on? And can I get one of those glasses I am without? Yeah, something.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you got a cup, you know what I mean, first you got to finish your plate.
I do.
Unless you got some extra.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
you just slid in on
me. Yeah,
if you wanted to get it, you would have got it. That's a lot.
So, I'm drinking a Hazy Vibes. So, Good Vibes is a classic. It is known, worldwide. Voodoo Brewing, again, another hometown hero, known worldwide. Good Vibes is the original. It's a nice West Coast IPA, and this is the hazy version, the East Coast version of that. This is the first time actually having it. It's wild because you know how you drink all the beer from home. And then, like, some of the folks that you kind of grew up with and, you started out with, you don't visit after a while because you're too busy drinking the new stuff. So it's nice to go back to Voodoo and, see that not only are they doing the hazy, doing hazies and whatnot, they're doing it well. Like, this is, there's a lot of hazies out there. Like, that's just what it is. I mean, that's the craze. Everybody's doing it or whatever. But not everybody's doing it well. A lot of people are just doing it to sell shit because they have to, and this is worth it. I mean, this is worth my liver space for it. So, thank you for bringing that over. What is your name again, love?
Heather.
Heather with that hair, man. I don't know if there's a shot of that. Yeah, I mean a crowd shot, but Heather with the hazy in the hair. I appreciate bringing this to it. It's a 7%. So a brewer's session, basically, is what that is. So
yeah, I agree with that.
And I believe you're drinking the Allegheny City lager. Allegheny City Brewing did a lager. They paired with the head chef of this hotel, Chef Evans, to brew that. And it is a photo-aged lager that was brewed for the festival and paired specifically for the lunch that we had here earlier, the watermelon feta salad and the brisket that we had here. Now you showed up a little on some CPT, so you may have in your colored people missed that. But the folks earlier, hopefully they got a chance to enjoy that lunch and pair it with the lager that was brewed specifically for it. So hope you're enjoying that as well. It's got extra fodder in it.
Yeah, I can taste like the sweetness of it. Yeah, it's been something. But I do enjoy that. But I'll let the brisket slide. I won't pull that against you. I'll sleep it off. And we'll reassess tomorrow. But yeah, I just definitely want to also just like shout you out for being bold in the midst of a whole panorama, panini, parachute.
Yes.
You out here supporting us in the craft beer community with a place we can congregate and be ourselves and be in a safe space. Way back when you were starting your comedy journey, did you ever see yourself getting into craft beer on this level? Or were you just like, I'm gonna do this one thing and then it's gonna put me in this section for another?
So I just wanted to tell dick jokes for beer money. That's how I started that, right? And ultimately, comedy and many forms of entertainment are just an excuse to keep people drinking for 2 or 3 hours, right? If you really look at the venue, the economic, the business model of most venues, whether that's a restaurant or a comedy club or a music venue, you could trace most of the money to alcohol sales. I mean, that's really what it is. They'll give you free tickets to a motherfucking place if you promise to buy enough beer and booze while you're there. Myself and my partner Ed Bailey, who helped found the festival, we knew that very early on. We were very self-aware of why we were getting these gigs in these various bars. My first gig was at a bar. They paid me $25. I did 15 minutes. I was happy for it. I had no idea that I would be getting into the beer industry or anything like that. I liked craft beer. I was at a time, kind of making enough money to afford it. We started a podcast called Drinking Partners. Again, very self-aware, knowing that, people are paying us to kind of get up on stage and bullshit. And we wanted to carry on this conversation that we were having, outside of these bars and whatnot. We hooked up with the craft beer industry. Brew Gentlemen and Full Pint were the two first sponsors. Full Pint sponsored an Epicast event, who is our producers. Shout out to Epicast, the family. And then Brew Gentlemen, we did our first live podcast there at Brew Gentlemen. And right afterwards, Brew Gentlemen was like, yo, you guys should go hang out with Wrist House and Hitchhiker. We just did this freshman cast. And we're like, why the hell would you tell us to go hang out with the competition? When you go to Home Depot, they're not like, oh, you like hammers? Well, Lowe's got some banging ass hammers. That idea of camaraderie in business was new to me. And we wanted to carry that and extend it to the art field because, a lot of times people see you telling dick jokes for beer money and they're like, well, you got to tell those over here. That's competition. It's like, yo, we could come together. Maybe you got some ball jokes, right? And then maybe together we can make, a whole package, right? And we're better as than the sum of our parts. So, extending that, and our platform went from just being a way that we can get our, get our comedy and ourselves out, beyond the few people that were at the shows. And it became more of a platform in which we were bigging up other people. If you didn't have mainstream media coverage, we were like, come on to the podcast, let's talk about it, and let's introduce you to our crowd, and let's cross-promote. And that's really how we kind of got into the beer. And then, I don't know what happened between then and now, but sometimes, at some point I woke up and I was fucking, helping distribute beer and beer festivals and shit like that. I'm still not understanding. But yeah, I had no idea I was going to be doing this shit.
That's where you gotta go, because that's exactly how I got here. Started teaching, fresh out of school, working in administration, and then looked up one day, was like, yeah, nah, this ain't it. Fumbled around, and then I like beer. I like drinking it, taking pictures, all that good stuff. Why not be an influencer and make a connection? And that was kind of a hard sell sometimes working with breweries because they're like, oh yeah, sure, we'll work with you. I'll email you. It's like a right swipe on Tinder going wrong and he ghosted. So it's just like, man. And then lo and behold, met people in Nashville. A couple are here, shout out Johnny, Jackie, AC. We ended up connecting and kind of just rolled from there. She runs the community, but like it's just I feel so much part of it. I'm like, it's like my baby too sometimes. So and just being able to build that. But like, how was that journey for Fresh Now, Bear and Flow? How was it getting support? Because I know you mentioned it in 2019 at the Brewhound interview. Kind of some people loved it. Like that was good. But like, what was kind of the dark side? You want people to know how they create something or reach out to people.
So I mean, this is all very hard. Comedy, any kind of small business venture is extremely difficult. But what we found was with the podcast, we were able to, so podcasting is low cost. So that allows you to get your voice out on a platform that doesn't cost you a whole lot of money up front. And we were able to utilize that podcast to build a community. When you look at Fresh Fest, Fresh Fest 2018, 95% of the people who were collaborating and working on that festival were past podcast guests. We came in, we had conversations, we extended the offer of helping them, right? When you help people in turn are likely to help you. You know what I mean? Not everybody, but enough of a percentage that, and if you're smart enough, you know when to kind of cut folks off and whatnot, you know what I mean? And like, I try not to give anything that I'm not willing to lose. So, inviting people in and supporting folks, and then seeing there was this lack of diversity in the industry and whatnot, as there's lack of diversity everywhere. I mean, and diversity is a term that I'm trying to use less of. An author, Tierney, wrote an article about reality, and there's not a lot of reality in these brew houses, right? I mean, when you walk down the street, it's not 95% white men, bearded men. I mean, there's people of color, there's women. I mean, there's there's LGBTQ folks. When you walk down the street. So when we're talking about changing the industries, we're not looking at diversity. Diversity is fitting into a bunch of white men and then putting a polka dot into it. Reality is saying, I want it to look like what it looks like every fucking where else. So, that's what, when we saw that it wasn't that case, again, getting more into the beer industry, and being invited to these places and seeing all these folks, we were like, so what can we do? And I have a social service background. That was the industry, the profession that I had for 10 years before I got into comedy and eventually into production. And, it was, man, that hazy right there.
After that second
We lost him, y'all. It was like, how can we utilize our platform and what we're doing already to kind of make a difference, and utilizing some of the skills learned in social services, meeting people where they are, knowing that there's hurdles. You can't just stand at the finish line and be like, well, we're here. Come get us. There's opportunity here. No, you have to meet people where they are. You have to find the hurdles, and then you have to help eliminate those hurdles so that they can get a bit further to that, finish line and whatnot. And, building a festival was the way that we saw that we could, representation, creating a safe space, networking, building, introducing people to other folks that are, doing those things and whatnot. And, we were only able to do that by reaching out to the folks, kind of like it's a social bank. Ime Alaquiva he's an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker. He was on the podcast, and And he talked about the social bank, about how like, you know, you put in, and you withdraw as needed. But if you keep withdrawing, eventually you'll be you know, overdrawn, and people won't answer your phone calls. So we had banked a lot of social kind of like credit. So when the festival happened, we were like, this is it. Everybody's always asking, well, how can we help out? You need anything? We're like, oh, we're cool now. But it will come. And 2018 was when it came. We called everybody. We said, yo, we got this thing. This is what we're doing. Like, you know what I mean? We're putting all, you know, hitting the ground running. And folks showed the fuck out, man. We were trying to sell 700 tickets. We sold 1,200. We only bought 700 glasses. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. So like, you know, like we ran out of glasses. You know, like they had to go to Home Depot and get like to Restaurant Depot and get more glasses. You know, I was walking around the fest, I'm running around, I saw a motherfucker with a rocker glass, like full of beer, and I was like, yo, did you bring that glass into my festival? He's like, oh no, they gave this to me at the desk. I ran to the desk, I'm like, yo, what is y'all doing? They're like, we ran out of glasses, we had to get more. So like, they got more glasses, we ran out of those, they ran and got more glasses, they ran out of those, and then Restaurant Depot closed, so then we had to go get Dixie cups. You know what I mean? Like, so we're serving Dixie cups at a, you know what I mean? And like, I mean, that's gotta be the most ghetto shit that you can, you know what I mean? Come up to a black beer festival and they got Dixie cups, right? You know, solos. Right, yeah, solos and shit, right? So like, I mean, we took $10 off every time, you know what I mean? We like took it down, was like, all right, cool. But, you know, like, I mean, that just shows like the kind of the support that we had, you know, from all of that. And, you know, the 2019 it got bigger, more support. 2020 we had the pandemic. Again, the community came through and they said we need this to happen. They, you know, we found Work Hard that we've been working with. HereCourt helped us with the, you know, Garrett Oliver reached out to us. Tavor came into the pack. We were able to pay black brewers and ship beer out to 25 states. And then this year with the rebrand, we were like, you know, hey, coming out to it. And again, the community showed up and said, hey, what do you need? And that's the only reason we're here now. And throughout the day, I'm sure you've seen me running around. I'm always on the phone with somebody else saying, hey, you know, we need this and that. And, you know, it is extremely difficult to build this. There's a lot of pitfalls, but ultimately, nobody's successful by themselves. I mean, any industry, any profession, you could have a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of different stories, but the one common thread, don't let anybody tell you anything differently. There's no such thing as a self-made millionaire, billionaire, anything. You got there from some kind of help. And that's the only reason that we're here now, is because of a lot of help, so.
I love that, I love that. And speaking of help, I know you mentioned in the interview about like the stigma of having quote unquote black events. How can craft beer kind of push that narrative away from events? You're like, oh, it's like, oh, cool, I'm gonna pull up, rather than like, Sarah, come to my event, they come to drugs. How can we get to that level?
Again, you know, I guess the only thing that I'm barely decent at in life is putting asses in the seats. Like, I mean, like, you know, making sure that, you know, people show up to the event. And, you know, again, that's support. It's a battle of attrition. It's consistency. You have to have a good product first and foremost. And you have to have a good product even when nobody's supporting it. Even when it's just your friends and family. You have to know that your friends and family are not gonna be there. They can't be your, you know what I mean? When they don't show up at your events after the 14th time, you go find some other motherfuckers, man. Like, I can't be your only source of income, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you have to be consistent in your quality. You know, when we first started the podcast, Buzzy said to us, listen, if you start this and you do weekly, you gotta do it weekly. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you commit to that, you know what I mean, and you start dropping off and it starts to be every other week or like every couple of weeks or whatever, people are gonna stop looking for you. You know what I mean? And, you know, and you have to be consistent. When we started the podcast, you know, we had like 3 listeners, 5 listeners, 10 listeners or whatever. We got to show up every week just to have 10, 15 motherfuckers listen to us or whatever. But you have to do it because you are your first supporter, first and foremost. And you have to be consistent in that product. And, you know, again, you have to offer something to the community, right? Your product has to be something that offers something to the community. You know, like craft beer and all these other things offer, like, the reason why craft is an economic term, it's a political term. It means that if I give you this dollar, you're gonna support my softball team, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's gonna be, this is a community center of some sort. Like, I know you're gonna at least put taxes back into, you know, into my place. Like, I mean, it's that. It serves the community. So if you have a product that is good and it also serves the community and it's consistent, then eventually people will see that and they will show up. A lot of times people get discouraged because, you know, they start out and it doesn't happen for them right away. And they go, oh man, they hate me. Or like, yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, they just don't know how good I am. And it's like, of course they don't. You know what I mean? Like, you haven't been there long enough. You know, and then, and if I can't emphasize this enough, this is because this is a beer festival, it's also an arts festival. And man, pay your fucking artists. Like, I mean, that whack ass logo that you
one time for people.
Right? I mean, pay your fucking artists, man.
Yes.
Like, that whack ass logo ain't doing it. That little fucking PowerPoint flyer that you did, ain't nobody coming to that shit. That don't look like anything I want to do, right? You know what I mean? Like, I was putting, you know, we were paying artists, you know, 50 to 75 bucks to put up, you know, to make a flyer. We were paying our comics, you know what I mean? Like, you know, their rates to come in and whatnot. We were paying the venue. Everybody got paid except for us. We took losses on that. But ultimately, in doing that, we got the best comics because they knew they were getting paid. We got the best venues because they knew they were getting paid. We got the best customers. They came in, they got a good product. And like, I mean, like the flyers look dope as shit. That looked like something you wanted to come to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, this shirt looks cool as shit. You know what I mean? The logo, somebody got paid for that. The freshness, somebody got paid for that. Everybody, pay your fucking artists, man. And that really is. If you have a good product that serves the community and you're consistent, and then you have an artist that is going to translate that well to the broader community, it's only a matter of time before you pop.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about offering something to the community, which brings me to my next question, is how has Fresh Fest and Bear Flow impacted hiring of people of color in breweries? Do you have a number on that or any kind of rough idea?
So I don't have the analytics from like countrywide. I don't know, man. It's wild because it's weird because, you know, you don't really see the impact, like, always. You know what I mean? Like, you know, until, like I said, the fact that y'all are here now is wild as shit. I'm like, the whole pandemic happened, like, there's been all this or whatever. The last time we were all together like this was 2 years ago. You know, there was dark times in, like, you know, the winter, you know, where I was like, does anybody even give a fuck about this shit? You know what I mean? Like, you know, you ask those questions. But then, you know, like, I got to, you know, then the emails start coming in, and I actually got to do a little bit of traveling. And I went out to, like, Miami and Chicago and was meeting folks that, like, knew what we were doing and were, like, you know, excited about it or whatever. So there are those, like, kind of overreaching, and there's always mentions and whatnot. I think that the festival did a good job of amplifying the conversation that was already going on. You know what I mean? And kind of giving it kind of a lightning rod where people can kind of come together around something and say, you know, like, yes, this is something, and we're all going to come together and do that. What I can speak to is locally is that there are a lot more black folks that are not only patronizing breweries, but also working at breweries. Brewers are constantly hitting me up, asking me, saying, hey, we want to, you know, we don't want it to look like this. How can we, you know, get folks in and whatnot? And they do a great job, you know, again, you know, one of the, you know, you're not gonna hire a bunch of black folks if there's no black folks in your tap room. And I mean, like, you know, people like, I don't want to fucking work in this white fucking space. You know what I mean? The fuck, like, I don't, all this microaggressions and shit I gotta deal with. You know what I mean? Like, I at least need one other nigga in the crowd that I can, like, go, yo, like, you know what I mean? If this shit pops off, you got me, right? Yeah, right. Yeah, you gotta be like, yo, yeah, right. We all got the, like, yo, is this, you know? So, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, but, like, how do you do that? And again, it's, you know, so brewers, the crap, because Fresh Fest started in Pittsburgh, because now what Fresh Fest did really well was it showed it showed what, you know, diversity and inclusion does in action, right? Like, you saw why you needed it. Everybody that was at that festival was like, oh shit, this is what we're like, this is what the beer industry could be like? Because all those other festivals were trash. If you ever been to a beer festival before this, you were like, okay, and then you get the first one, it's like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean? That's, and every, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, we felt that, the brewing industry, everybody in the industry was like, oh shit, that's what it's supposed to be like, right? You know what I mean? Like, so it did a good job of showing what you do in action. So it wasn't the conference where you just talk about it and it's like, all right, let's go back to our places and hope it works. It's like, no, this is already working, we're already doing this. Get down and lay down, right? So, you know, like, in doing that, you know, and bringing the national attention now, like Pittsburgh craft beer, I love Pittsburgh craft beer, but it wasn't being mentioned nationally in articles on a regular basis until Fresh Fest came around. Black people did that, right? You know what I mean? Like, black people did that. Black people push a lot of pop culture and a lot of business in America. We just don't get the credit for it. Fresh Fest said, no, fuck, we black and we hella black. We ain't kind of black. We ain't like we black as fuck. And, you know, again, you need to be blacker, right? You know what I mean? Like, it was very unapologetically black and successful. It was a table that we built and said, if you want to sit at our, not, hey, can we get a seat at yours? No, we built a table. If you want a seat here, you gotta act right. You know what I mean? Because you see what we're doing over here. And that's like, you know, that is, so the brewers around town have done a really good job of, you know, like, reaching out and saying, hey, how can we be better at that? And we see, so one of my favorites is Trace. They have a paid apprenticeship program where after 6 months, so they pay you. You ain't got to give up time, free time. They ain't paying you in beer. They paying you in dollars so you can pay your bills. And at the end of that 6 months, you have the ability to work in any brewery that you want. You know what I mean? And they met with me beforehand and they said, yo, we want to do this right. We want to find somebody, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like a person of color and whatnot. You know what I mean? Very, very intentional. That's what you have to be. You have to be intentional in that. And they didn't mince words and they went out and they did that. They found somebody and they opened up. And they very intentionally, you know, so you go in there. It's one of the most, in Pittsburgh, PA, one of the most diverse craft breweries like I've seen in America. I've been to New York and Cali and Miami and all these other places or whatever, and I've seen a lot of folks, but man, like, you go down to Trace and, like, you know, you got gay folks in there, you got brown folks, black folks, white folks, like, you got the gamut of folks, because when you walk in, there's a wall where you can tag graffiti in there. There's rainbow flags, you know what I mean? Like, there's black folks behind the counter. Everywhere there's signaling somewhere that says, you're welcome here. You know what I mean? Like, and they did that very intentionally, and it's almost, it was some like I feel like they're just like, they're kind of shitting on the industry right now. Like, oh, you can't get diversity? Sucks to be you. Like, you know what I mean? Because they only been open for about 6 or 7 months, and it is popping over there, bro. Like, I mean, it's popping. They got the various DJs, they pay all their artists and whatnot. Very good model, you know what I mean? So I think, you know, so when I look at the impact that Fresh Fest and now Barrel and Flow has had, I can only speak locally, and locally we've had a hell of an impact. And then nationally, I mean, they're at least talking about us, and y'all here, but I can't speak more beyond that.
Gotcha. Low visit sex.
Write it down. That's the takeaway.
Got that right there. That's my fiance right there, Ashley.
Oh, very nice to meet you. I thought you were a super fan.
The #1 fan. Dedicated.
She has to deal with me every day.
Yeah, I was about to see her. I was like, yo, you know that show me your friend. It's like, hey, you should go on that.
Oh, it's for sure. But two more questions before we wrap it up and kind of just open up to the crowd. Kind of going off what you said about diversity. Say a non-black owned brewery here, they're not really sure what to do, and they roll up on you and like, we need like 3 pieces of advice to kind of help us understand diversity and how we can implement it into the brewery. Like, what are those 3 things you would tell them?
So again, you have to be intentional. You have to, you know, you can't look for, like, again, like, I think So first, I would say diversity isn't the word. Reality is the word. Diversity just means I'm just trying to hire somebody. I need a black guy. And you put one black guy in there, and now you're diverse. That's not reality, though. So, I mean, I would say first and foremost, you stop looking for diversity and start looking for reality. Why is your tap room so goddamn like one-sided? I mean, like, you know, you want more folks. The industry needs more folks. White dudes only got but so much money. I know they got a lot, but they only got but so much. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so as a business, you should want more diversity, more reality in your breweries. So I mean, I think that just by fundamentally changing your outlook